Hello, all you positive heads out there. It's so good to be back with all you beautiful reflections of the one source consciousness that creates and animates all things. If you're new to this podcast, of course, we are super happy to have you here, and we just ask that you bring an open mind and heart to your listening experience and to be prepared to explore vantage points that I'm convinced will help shift or solidify your current understanding of the ultimate nature of reality. While listening, you'll be exposed to inspiring, empowering, and unifying perspectives that I'm highly confident will yield stellar results in your life if you opt to try them on for size. Also, at optimistic.tv, we have officially begun releasing the first few episodes of our new late-night style, consciousness-elevating video variety talk show, Optimistic, which features live visionary art, soul share interviews, retreat guests here at the Mystic Manor, as well as live musical performances. I'm also super excited to announce that we are currently making plans to release the rest of Season 1 on my personal favorite online streaming service. So stay tuned to optimistic.tv to follow the unfolding development of this exciting Optimistic expansion, as we'll be posting more info and release dates there soon. And in the meantime, be sure to check out, of course, the first few episodes at optimistic.tv as well. All right, all you positive heads. On this week's Soul Share episode, I'm very excited to have my lovely friend, Christine Olivia, here with me on the show. Christine is a cacao enthusiast, author, and all-around magical soul who I would say most definitely embodies the essence of the divine child. Hello, Christine. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
So
happy to be here.
So good to have you here. We've talked about doing this for a long time now.
A year, I think.
At least a year. At least a year. All right. So I'm going to jump in and start at the very same predictable question I always start at, and it is this. You're in an elevator. Okay. The woman next to you looks over, says, "What's your passion?" You have 10 floors to answer. What do you say?
All things ceremonial cacao, Mayan cacao, all things that bring you to your heart and connect you to your inner child and your essence and whatever expression that is, whether it's with the inner child or with sensuality and dance and play. Yeah, all those things. Oh, we're still in the elevator?
You're now on the 12th floor. You popped through the ceiling. It's like Willy Wonka elevator. Okay. Have you seen Willy Wonka?
Of course.
Okay, you know, they go into the stretch. Yeah, I tell the same bad joke every time about the Willy Wonka answer.
And that's about chocolate.
Yeah, it's about chocolate. Oh, mine
brought us to this
moment. Hold on, mind is officially blown. The synchronicity. Okay. Wow. Yeah, that's so funny. Yeah. Okay. All right. Finally, my Willy Wonka comment makes sense. It's the first.
It's all led you to this exact moment.
This moment. Yes. All right. Well,
love it.
We're going to talk more about chocolate, cacao, and all of that good, sweet stuff. What I'd like to do, though, is start with, giving myself, and of course I know some of your backstory, since it's not like we're just meeting. With many of my guests it is, right? So I know the listeners, though, would love to get as much backstory as you feel is relevant to share for this conversation. So yeah, take it away.
I will start with saying that cacao changed my life. That's why I'm obsessed with it. And it kind of started with me being at my lowest. And so that allowing me to make the change so that I could be better and feel better, because I was at my lowest point of my entire life. And in my 20s, I was fully disconnected to my heart, to my body, to my soul, to my lineage, to all these things. And then I was at my lowest, like the worst relationship I'd ever been in, and that led me to seek something that could help me feel better, and that was yoga. And then from yoga, I had manifested yoga teacher training, which led me to experience a cacao ceremony, and it was a Mayan cacao from Guatemala that I was served. And instantly that brought me back to connecting with my heart. And then from there, I knew I was meant to share it and to work with it, not only for myself, but to share it with the world. Like, I knew that fully, deeply, and that's what I did. And it brought me back to my connection with my ancestors and with my father, who I had never been able to connect with in the human form. And and with my ancestors and my lineage, and knowing that this is my ancestral medicine that I get to work with and share with the world. So it was a huge.
So you're Guatemalan.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And were you familiar with cacao or any of the sort of,
Not at all.
ties to your homeland? How long, when did you come to the States? Have you been here your whole life?
I've been here my whole life.
Okay,
My
I thought
father came to Guatemala, or from Guatemala through Mexico into the States when he was about 5 years old.
Oh, okay. So he was even here most of his life.
Yeah, but he was never actually a citizen. But he met my mother, and they fell in love, and they had me when they were really young. So I'm half Guatemalan and then half Mexican and like European from my mother's side. So I'm a mix, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But love Guatemala and love going there and connecting with the land there and visiting. And I don't have any family alive from my father's side. So every time I go there, I feel like, oh my God, this could be my aunt or my uncle or my cousin or whatever. So it feels really beautiful to just see the Mayan peoples and be like, these are my peoples and my family and I love them.
Aww.
Yeah.
How great.
Yeah.
Have you went quite a few times?
Yeah. I was just recently there in March for my birthday. I was supposed to be there for 3 weeks, and I got stuck there for 3 months. It was very intense because it was around COVID and all the things happening.
Oh, you were stuck from being able to enter back in.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that. You hadn't told me that.
Yeah, that happened.
Wow. So it was like, you're going to spend some significant time in your homeland.
Yeah, and that was so beautiful because I got to see the women making the cacao, the Cacao women, the Mayan indigenous women, and how they make it with their prayers and their love and their intention. And I got to hand peel the husk off the cacao and really see the process.
Wow.
If you'd like, I can go over that process.
I'd love to. Yeah, I'd love to. Yeah, share whatever you feel is relevant. Because probably, certainly some listeners out there, I'm sure, have been involved in a cacao ceremony.
Yeah.
They're ever growing in popularity in this sort of, transformational community, I guess you could say. And there's probably a good number of listeners out there who've like, are we talking about like Hershey's chocolate here? Like, does she have like a bunch of Hershey's Kisses that she like throws out? So let's, share, tell us about cacao.
Let's talk about chocolate and how that is processed, cacao, and how that strips all of the healing benefits from the medicine and kills all of the living enzymes. And so what you have is just simply the flavor. When you have like conventional chocolate, you're having like flavored oils, because what they do is they take the butter out and they put oils inside and they add a ton of sugar. So you're just having this chocolatey, like flavored thing that is just a sugar piece of crap, right? It's no good. So when you have it in its pure form, you have cacao and all of the healing properties like anandamide, the bliss molecule, theobromine, which gently energizes, serotonin, dopamine, PEAs, magnesium, which is so good for us and most of us are deficient in, good for your brain, good for your muscles to help you relax, vitamins, nutrients, antioxidants. So it's a superfood. And then you have this other layer when you get it ceremonially, you are getting it made with tradition and thoughtfulness, love, and prayers. And it has been used for thousands of years by the Aztecs and the Mayans, and before the Olmecs as well. They've been using this medicine. They've known the power of this medicine. And so they've been using it for everything between life and death, for ceremonies, shamanic purposes, for healing, for celebration. So it's a super powerful plant medicine. And you can have these powerful journeys with it, but it's not psychoactive, and it's really gentle. So it can just walk you to the door of transformation, and it doesn't have to be this push through the door like a very intense medicine.
Like ayahuasca or mushrooms or,
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah. So the cacao ceremonies that I've participated in, that's what I've really appreciated about it is like it's very sweet.
Yes.
Pun intended. And it's not aggressive. It is a heart opener, right?
Yes.
You said the bliss molecule.
Anandamide.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's like that's the sort of thing is everyone gets in this sort of giddy, elevated state in a sense without it being like extreme. Like you can have a cacao ceremony with grandma or, whoever. It's not.
Yeah. What is a ceremony, right? It's a sacred space that we create so that we can get out of our heads, come into our hearts. So you can call it whatever you'd like. But the most important part when it comes to having cacao in a ceremony is to really honor the medicine and the wisdom keepers that still exist, that have fought to keep these traditions alive and to persevere through so many hardships. And some wisdom keepers and elders and shamans, they can't even practice this in Guatemala. There was recently one burned because of evangelics.
What?
There's a lot of very religious
people. They got burned because
at
they were
a stake because they were said they were a witch.
Because they were sharing cacao.
Not just cacao, but a shaman, right? He was a medicine man in the community and was well known. But so these people are these shamans, yeah.
Wow.
They're being attacked. So it's crazy. So we get to honor them because they are, beautiful wisdom keepers that have this medicine that they want to share with the world, and they can't even do it in their own homeland. And we're doing it just so easily and sometimes recklessly, and not honoring them, not honoring the land in which the medicine comes from. So this is super important to honor the ancestors of this medicine and honor the Mayan women who create this medicine for your healing. It's really important.
Wow.
And I would love to go over how they make it. So what they do is they take the beans from the cacao pod, right? And you have a beautiful cacao pod that has 20 to 60 pods inside. And they take those beans, they ferment the beans, they lightly roast it, and then they hand peel the husk off, which takes a lot of work. And they're putting their prayers the whole time. They're giggling, they're singing over this. It's a beautiful ceremony. And then they stone grind it into a block paste. And that's what we can get from them directly from Guatemala. They'll send that to you. You can find it on my website or online on Instagram. They're all over the place, ceremonial cacaos.
Maybe just throw your website out now for anyone who maybe doesn't make it to the end.
I am ChristineOlivia.com. You can find it there. And from there, we take those blocks and we continue with the prayers, and we chop up that cacao. You use about 4 tablespoons for yourself. Add some hot water, blend it in a blender so you get that frothy texture, heat-safe blender. Add some natural sweetener like coconut sugar and little spices like cinnamon and cayenne, and you're good. And you just put your prayers into it, give thanks, and honor your ancestors, your loving ancestors, your guides, and the ancestors from which the medicine comes from, and the Mayan Quichua women.
Yeah, and it is actually, I saw you yesterday. You greeted me with cacao, and it was so good. It's so satiating and different than very mildly sweet, and so
naturally bitter.
Yeah, it's just so it's so much better than these days. I've noticed we all grew up, certainly in this country, with lots of super sweet things, super sweet candy, super sweet soda, and as you sort of wean off of that stuff, it's if I have a soda or some of these things now, I'm just oh my God, how does the sugar? It's and meanwhile having something that's got all this nutritional value and meaning behind it and intention behind it, and just that semi-sweetness is so much better now, right?
Yeah, you have that natural bitterness and sweetness and almost nuttiness. Yeah, it's really beautiful and really good for you. We're supposed to have all the different flavors in our diet, so super good.
Yeah. Wow. So, so you're doing ceremonies pretty regularly with groups of women?
Yeah, mostly.
Primarily, yeah?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Can you, do you want to share what that experience is like for people who would like a peek into it?
Yeah, I call it the Mateosh Method is what I've created this movement and method in which we can get out of the head, right, come into our hearts with the Mayan ceremonial cacao with meditation and movement. And I have them about twice a month. And it's this beautiful, transformative experience that you can have within an hour and a half. I call it a workout for mind, body, and soul. But yeah, with the assistance of the cacao, you can really get out and you can really release and let go. It really helps you to let go, whether that is through tears or giggles or sweat. We are releasing and making space so that we can come into gratitude. So I call it the gratitude method, Mateosh meaning thank you in Mayan. So it's this beautiful method for us to come into gratitude truly and to feel that gratitude and to express that gratitude through dance. It's beautiful and it's so much fun. And yes, we fully tap into the inner child, into the sensuality, wherever you really want to go. But obviously, yes, I'm a big kid, so we're always playing with the inner child.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So in these ceremonies, you start with having cacao and kind of getting
journeying with the cacao, having a meditation with cacao. like really dropping in and coming into your body and grounding down.
Do you help people? I love that then the focus is on gratitude. Obviously, that's the gateway to everything, I think.
Yep.
Finding gratitude for where you're at, what you've been through, the hardships, the upsides, the left, the right, all of it is the path. And so I think that's super, super powerful. For anyone at home who's really, the idea is resonating with them to explore a cacao ceremony, ordering it themselves. I mean, do you have any on your website or any sort of recommendations of, here's how you can do this at home? Or...
Yeah, of course. It's all written on there. When you look up the ceremonial cacao link on my website, it'll take you to a page that talks all about cacao, gives you instructions on how to create it yourself and make your own ceremony. It's as simple as creating your own morning ritual instead of having your coffee, right? Start with cacao, light a candle, say a prayer, give thanks, and just drink with presence and come into your bodies, into the subtleties, into the senses, and see how you feel. If you sit with it and just give yourself 10 minutes, you'll feel your body and your body opening up, your heart opening up, the sensations in your arms and fingertips. And it's such a beautiful medicine to help with all things in life. Like if you want to be more creative, use it. If you want to write a book, or if you're working, it'll help you to focus. So it's being used from the boardrooms to the jungles for a reason, because people understand that this is like beautiful and powerful and really helpful for your life. And there are so many plants like that. That's like really important to state, is that the plants are here for us. We're not meant to do it all by ourselves and just talk to each other the whole time or be in our heads about anything. We're supposed to go to the plants for our healing, for our medicines, and work with them. And I think it's really important to know. And whether that's the nourishing herbs like lavender, chamomile, or oat straw, consciousness shifting herbs, or, these beautiful medicines like cacao, or the psychedelic mushrooms, right? There's so many things. Or all the mushrooms. All the mushrooms are so helpful. Like we're meant to work with the plants for...
Have you seen I haven't seen it yet, but I really want to watch this documentary, Fantastic
Oh,
Fungi.
yeah.
You seen it?
Yeah, amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's incredible. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really, I think it's fascinating that we're to witness how mankind is starting to sort of like open back up to seeing the power in nature and what is there, has been under our nose the whole time, and we've been just like these foolish creatures who are just like, destroying everything, not stopping and fully understanding the power of something as simple. Because if you told someone probably, in 1965, like, the power of cacao, like most people would be like, what are you talking about? That's like a Hershey's bar, right?
Yeah.
Like this is just this simple thing. And I think that's happened with a lot of substances or plants. I have a friend who's really tuned into, that idea. And actually, we were just talking about him last night. I haven't talked about him in a really long time. My Viking-esque friend, Brandon, I remember talking to him about this subject one time, and he was like, it's like tobacco. Another example of this sacred plant that is actually, useful for deep healing and ceremonial work and
consciousness shifting.
And yet it's been just bastardized completely with all these chemicals, and it's like this very negative thing, right, on our planet. But at its root, and he, at the time, this was years ago, he was talking about like talking to the spirit of the tobacco plant, and like realizing there needs to be deep healing or
and understanding around it, right? Because this is sometimes used a lot of times in indigenous cultures as an offering, not even for us, but an offering to give back, which is another important point to make when we are using these medicines that are here for us, asking ourselves, what can we do? What can we offer these plants in return? Knowing that this is an energy exchange, knowing that the cacao spirit is a spirit, right? And is like alive and there. And so that's important too.
Yeah, it's like, I think that's such a fascinating thing to start to realize. Everything has its own being. Like you represent Christine, and you're your own thing. Yeah. It's like I represent this avatar, Brandon. In this case, it's like, okay, cacao there's a spirit that animates that entity, or tobacco, or coca, another one, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's been like just completely turned into this thing that's wreaked havoc, cocaine. Yet at its core, there's goodness there. I heard someone say, curious what your thoughts are on this. I heard someone say the other day, they were talking about ayahuasca, right? And of course, that's been a big plant medicine used in recent years, so much in the transformational community. And I don't remember who I was talking to about it. Darn it! But they brought up something I never thought of. Well, ayahuasca, it comes from a vine, right? It's like, and this idea that it is a vine, and it can kind of like want to take over people in a sense. Was this you I was talking to about it? Okay. I thought that was a really interesting point. It's like, oh, I never really thought of that, because you and I both know people who are like, ayahuasca, at least once every week or month, and they just get so into it. And it can lead to deep healing, and it, and obviously it's talk about blasting you open to other dimensions of reality and all that stuff. But and a lot of people I've talked to is like, oh, grandmother ayahuasca came to me when I was in ceremony and presented herself to me, and we had this conversation, like the soul, the spirit of this medicine, and it's like, oh, and it's it's a vine, and it kind of like wants to make itself, integrated into someone's, being. Like, what an interesting thought.
Yeah. It's really an extreme medicine, which I think should not be taken lightly. And that's the thing, because it's been used by people, and it is that vine medicine. It is taking, I feel like it's taking over. And so it's like wanting to be taking over other people. So, right, it just wants to be like spread and shared. But it's a really intense medicine, and I think if you're in the jungle, that's beautiful if you feel called to try it. But being here in the States, I don't think anybody should be having it outside of the jungle. I don't think it's a good
I've only ever done it here.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm not debating your perspective or anything, but I've never done it there. I've done it 6 times here. Yeah,
I think it's really hard to integrate here, and it's just so intense. The energy here, it's way different than being in the jungle, surrounded by all of these living trees, and it's a different vibration to be doing it in. So I'm not an advocate for any of these harsh medicines, because you don't need them. You can work with nourishing herbs. They're progressive medicines that you can work with, and over time you'll feel them more intensely, and you will heal and transform your life with these really gentle herbs, like the oat straw and the nettles, like the linden, all these like really easy going things that you can work with, and slowly they'll start to heal you because they're so nourishing and have so many nutrients and minerals and things. You don't need to be so extreme. And then you have something like cacao, which is literally that like grandmother essence, and holds you like unconditional
the grandmother
love.
That wants to give you cookies.
Yeah, not the grandmother that smacks you upside the head like ayahuasca.
Right, that's the grandmother. Yeah, that exactly.
Different kinds of grandmothers, right?
That's funny. Yeah, and also thinking of it being vine-like, and I think of my friend Shane years ago, he's probably done at least 30 Aya journeys, and when I met him, he was like, he was originally like very leery to do anything, psychoactive, and then it's like he was exposed to, and I watched his whole journey, knowing him for almost a decade now, and then seeing him like start, going into Aya ceremonies, and then next thing you know, he's like, I've done 30 some, and I remember him talking about like, oh, I can just look at someone's eyes and tell that they're someone who,
because it's in them.
Yeah,
I could I could feel that too. Like, it's interesting. You can just tell that they've had it. It's just in you after you have done it. And I kind of had to fight that her like taking over my entire being and body. I could feel her in my cells, and like the cacao was like, she's like, she's not going fully over there to be like an advocate and like full, I don't even know what that is, like follower of that medicine. It's just not for me.
Yeah,
so,
right. And not to say it's, exactly. I mean, I know people who've had like the most powerful
and they love
transformations
it.
and
I
love it.
I have so many friends who love it, and that's perfect for them.
And it's like anything else. There can be, two sides, double-edged sword kind of thing, right?
Exactly.
And I think it's one of those things that can be like you're chasing something with it. You know, you fall into like, oh, I'm chasing this experience. I'm chasing,
You think it's going to solve all your problems or heal you in some way. And all the people that were in that ceremony that I was in, they all had issues afterwards. And I'm like, this defeats the purpose of what you thought it was for.
Right.
So,
right.
Yeah, it does not do that. So just be like aware that it's not going to solve all your issues or anything.
It may bring some things to light that then you need to do work on. And it may help you, certainly. I feel like it definitely helped me personally with fears. You know, what almost all of my journeys, it would be like, I had some blissful, ecstatic kind of experience in there, but a lot of it was like, oh, here's some like really fearful thoughts or energies. Now, how are you going to deal with them? You know, and for many of my Aya journeys, I would like kind of like run from them. You know, sort of like avoidance. And then the most recent one, which has been a couple years ago now, but it was like, okay, I'm just going to face every scary thought or fear that comes up, and it was so intense, and I think it was very helpful. I don't feel like I'm ready to go. I don't feel the need to like
do it again.
Go do that again.
Yeah, I don't feel like I get to do it again either. I feel like I had that experience, and there was some beauty in it too, and then there was a lot of like, whoa, this is really intense, and I don't think I need to do that anymore. But facing off the shadows and definitely release too, right? With the purging and everything, like letting go. I could see a lot being let go of. Yeah.
Before we continue on with today's episode, I'd like to take a quick moment to share a perfect gift idea for the upcoming holiday season, Features Socks. If you pay attention when you watch any of the episodes of my variety show Optimistic, you'll notice that I typically take my shoes off at some point during the interview portion, and it quickly becomes very obvious I'm a huge fan of fun, funky, colorful socks. So when Features originally reached out to me, I was super excited because I instantly loved the way they looked. But after actually wearing them, I realized there is a very good reason runners and golfers are increasingly making Features their sock of choice above and beyond their excellent style. Features have been engineered with targeted compression and an excellent design that keep them from bunching, slipping, and sliding into your shoe. I love the unique cut of the Elite golf socks and the anatomical design of all their styles because they actually conform to the left and right shape of your feet, creating an enhanced, custom-like fit that reduces discomfort and prevents blisters. They're also so durable and long-lasting that if you're unsatisfied at any point, they'll give you a replacement pair, no questions asked, for lifetime guarantee. And I can guarantee if you guys take advantage of the $10 off offer on your first pair at features.com when you use the code POSITIVEHEAD, that they will help make someone's holiday season merry and bright, to be sure. Once again, that is Features, spelled FEETURES.com, promo code POSITIVEHEAD, all one word, to receive $10 off your first pair. So I'd like to switch gears for a minute and talk a little bit about your book, which I have not read, although I'm so intrigued by the title, and knowing you like I do, it's like such a perfect, you and I've had this conversation multiple times, like I feel like in you, definitely a clear reflection of that like poster adult for childhood. And your book, A Child of Magic, tell us about it. Let's talk about being a poster adult for childhood.
Yeah, I'll start with saying that I wrote that book with the ritual of drinking cacao every morning, so I felt channeled by the cacao spirit herself for sure, and fully tapped into the inner child. So the story is about Olivia, and she's the main character who comes into the world magical like we all do, fully connected to all. Love the mystical creatures like Felix the Fox, who talks to her, the fairies, and Mother Earth through the essence of the trees and all the elements, like connected to it all. And then she loses that connection through heartbreak and through, the world that she lives in and the society that we live in. It's basically all of our stories, right? And
you wrote this as a fictional account based off of the real. Yeah, right.
Exactly. So loses that, goes into getting lost in her doing and success and what she thinks is a successful way of being. And then she gets to come back to that with the help of yoga and with the help of ceremonial
Just
cacao.
really closely based on
Yeah,
your
it's
life.
very close. But then everyone thinks it's all of me, which isn't true. It's still fictional. But she comes back with those assistances and the help of her ancestors and Mother Earth, who's always whispering to us and reminding us and the plants, right? And so she gets to come back into that. So it's really beautiful. Yeah, coming back into the magic like we get to do now as adults, knowing that there was once a connection and we can reconnect if we just have that intention to do so.
I'm sure it's a fun, as interesting a journey as your own life is. And one of the things that, I'd love to hear you share, because, I obviously have talked quite a bit about this. The only Bible verse I ever really quote, or maybe another one here and there, but my favorite, and I'm not big on quoting the Bible typically, but unless you become like a child, you can't enter the kingdom of heaven, essentially is what it says. And to me, that is so powerful and profound. Like heaven is not this place that you go to when you die and this man with a big beard on a throne is going to judge you. It's like we're in eternity now. Yeah. And I could be sitting right next to you on a park bench or someone, and I can literally be just come for my cacao ceremony with you and in the blissed out state and so grateful for my, life. And the guy next to me could be, focused on everything that's wrong with the world and how much he hates other people or this, this, that, or the other and hates his life. And literally I'd be in heaven in that moment and he'd be in hell and we're sitting on the same park bench, right? So you're someone who has really done... I view as a beautiful reflection in my life of, being that poster adult for childhood. There's something written down the road here in Venice on a side of a building that says, "Don't grow up, it's a trap." And I think yes, we want to be mature and cultivate wisdom, but we also never want to lose that playful spirit. And I think you see it in the people that do. I shared with you my story of like a channeling experience where that kind of came through this person in very dramatic fashion that like you embody, Brandon, the soul of the infinite eternal child. And I think that's really, it's in all of us, right? I just like, I've done good at like really grounding that in. And I think you have too. I mean, you're in your early 30s and you couldn't look more stunningly beautiful and more balanced inside and out and that playfulness. How did you get there? I mean, I know cacao obviously has been a big part of your journey, but is there anything else that you can share, especially for women out there who they hear my perspective a lot, and it's like nice to get the female side of that too.
Yeah, it's so important to tap in with your inner child, knowing that you are literally just a big kid in this body here, that you are the eternal youthful child, that you can connect and be and mother that inner child at any time. So that's a really important thing to do. Throughout our lives is checking in and mothering and fathering our little ones, because they were never mothered properly or fathered properly, because no one is perfect and we have all these wounds and things. Our parents have all these, issues, right? And so you get to do that now as an adult, and you get to tap in with yours. And it's as simple as like placing a hand on your heart and on your womb and connecting and checking in, closing your eyes and imagining your little one at whatever age and whatever stage she was in. If there's any unresolved issues, I like to tap in with my little 5-year-old when she was feeling scared, and see how she's feeling, and how she's doing. And maybe you are in a moment having fear come up or anxiety come up, especially with everything happening in the world. Taking the time to check in, tap in, see how she's feeling, and ask what she'd like you to do. What does she want in the moment? And so giving her what she wants, and give yourself 3 tries. So you're asking her, how is she feeling? And then by the 3rd time, you'll get like a legit answer, usually. And then asking her, what does she want? So after 3 times, you'll get an answer. Maybe she just wants some ice cream, or maybe she needs a fucking hug or a good cry, or she wants to have a little temper tantrum, right? Or watch a fucking Disney movie. Like, give yourself what you want, what you need. And I often watch Disney because it's so much fun and so beautiful. And totally changes everything, right? Or start talking in a funny little sweet accent like we've been doing lately.
We do. Right.
Whatever you want to do. But yeah, stop taking yourself so seriously and life so seriously. But you are a big kid and have fun. Go have fun.
Yeah. I always say, if you want to be enlightened, lighten up.
Yes.
And that is the path. And it's like, and you've made it a priority in your life to, continue to celebrate your inner child and be in that playful state. And, something as simple, as watching a movie that is in the vibration of your inner child. And I think it's really fascinating to think about and to realize the truth of like, we are sort of composite beings, and that little one is still there.
Yes.
It may not look like it in the mirror. It may, and you also even go further down the rabbit hole in this idea and what I believe is the ultimate nature of reality and truth, that, okay, we're in eternity now, and your 5th birthday party is happening on another channel right now. You're just not tuned into that moment. You and I are sitting here always having this moment. We just happen to be tuned into it now, so it feels like it's happening in this linear fashion, but it's eternity now. And so you start thinking in those terms, and they're like, oh, so that's why, the now can actually affect the past the same way it's easier for us to wrap our brains around, if I do this today, then in the future it causes an effect, right? But, when you start playing with this idea like, oh, hold on, if I actually send love to my child in that moment when they were having that thing happen to them that was so traumatic to me and I'm still carrying with me today, 30 years later or whatever, that actually it's felt and received by that child in that moment, and as a result, I'm then going to feel the ripple of that. It's like almost like stepping into another timeline.
I love that.
Isn't it crazy?
I love that.
And so powerful. You can feel. I get chills just talking about it.
I can imagine it, and I love, love, love that. And I wanted to say, you mentioned Disney movie, or we mentioned Disney movies, and that's like the whole point, actually, which brings me back to my book. I have created 2 scripts from that book. One, a full adapted version straight from the book, because I want it to be a Disney movie or a movie on Netflix. That
you look like a Disney character, actually. Like Pocahontas or...
Meets Belle.
Yeah, right.
Yes.
Totally.
Yeah, the mix.
You're totally...
Yeah, so we get to see that.
So makes sense.
And what we do have now, which is available to you now, if you have a Netflix, you can go watch Over the Moon, which will really tap you in, or you can watch...
Did you just post about that online or something?
I did. I was like, if you want to tap with your inner child, or your inner child will be really happy if you watch this.
That's right. Yep,
yeah. Or Frozen 2, which is so beautiful, and she connects to the elements and beautiful things. It's like a never before Disney movie. It's beautiful. So highly recommend.
The one, my friend Coco actually had me watch it a couple years ago too. What's the name? It's the one where it's like Coco's the island. So good too. Oh, that's a movie. That's actually, my friend Coco. Before the movie Coco, there's another Disney movie that is really has a lot of underlying themes and message about loving yourself and self-love. And it was, I want to say, my memory, I don't quite remember the name, but it was like a big islander guy. Like he was.
You mean Moana?
Yeah, Moana.
Oh yeah, love Moana. Moana's amazing.
Yeah.
Frozen 2 is just newer, and it blew my mind. It's so beautiful, but Moana is amazing as well.
Yeah, that one definitely had some serious messages for all of us.
And ancestors, connecting with ancestors.
And connecting with ancestors, right? Yeah.
So magical. Yay, that's why I love Disney.
Yeah. And that's another great point is, obviously, Guatemalan roots, Mayan ancestry, understanding. Have you went deep down the road of like doing ceremonial things to connect with your ancestors?
Oh yeah, I mean, I connect with them every time I have ceremony. That's like my purpose, is always to honor them and connect with them and the ancestors of the land, which is beautiful to mention right now, is like honoring the land in which we live on, always in ceremony. So I always honor the Chumash and the Tongva people, which probably were here as well.
Here in Venice area. Yeah.
Yeah, they definitely were in Topanga. So that's important to note. And yeah, we can do that at any moment, right? Like for me, I thought I lost that connection to my father when he died. He had taken his life, and so I was devastated. And then I realized with this work that I can connect with him on a deeper level and a more intense level without the ill-equipped human, body and ill-equipped to be a parent. And just with his essence and his spirit, and knowing that he's always with me and all around me and always a guide on my path, and just celebrating me. Yeah.
That's so...
Yeah.
That's such an inspiring notion to think, both my parents are still here, and it's one of the things that I guess I fear the most is that day where, one of them's not here, and missing them, and this idea that like, oh, I can have a deeper, more profound connection than I even in the physical.
Yes.
Like, I haven't heard that said too much, but when you said it, it's just kind of like, oh. That just lands in a way like, oh, wow, what an interesting concept. Like, it's not just some fleeting, I'm going to think of you, and like literally setting... I know for someone out there hearing it right now, it's like, oh, okay, I've never even entertained that idea.
Wow.
Right?
Yeah, and such a perfect time, right? Tomorrow is Halloween.
Ooh, yeah.
Dia de los Muertos and Samhain, and that is a perfect time where the veil is the thinnest and we can
full
connect.
Moon, too, on a Saturday.
And a full moon. Oh, my God. Yeah, and a Saturday is going to be wild.
Yeah.
So a perfect time to connect with the ancestors and really feel them and honor them. So bring them into your ceremony and...
Invite them.
Invite them in, and feel their presence and honor them. Place a picture. The way to do a ceremony for Samhain and Dia de los Muertos is to place a photo of an ancestor and to bring her into the space and light a candle in her honor. And
ooh, I'm doing that actually for the first time tomorrow. I just decided.
Yay, good.
How cool.
So beautiful.
Yeah, and just to speak to what we were talking about a minute ago, affecting the past. In different timelines, and this idea, once you start even playing with the consideration of like, sending love and strength and being there for your past self, and same for your future self, right?
Yes.
And it makes me think of my ex-partner, Anna, years ago, and I shared this story a few times over the years, but I'll share it real quick because it's such a good one, and I think it leads into your synchronicity story in a certain way too, because it has to do with the past life experience that she had, where she was, or let's past life or parallel life, right? Another now, but it was, her roots are Ukraine and Russia, right? And so she had she went through a several year, energy healing like courses with this woman, and then they concluded down in Hawaii where they spent a week or a few weeks together, and during that she had a full recollection of being in Russia in the 1500s, and she got the town name, and she was this woman who lived in the outskirts of a village, and the woman was like kind of stayed to herself. She had a son in the past who had left home at some point and never came back, which was kind of common in those days. Found his family, 500 miles away, and they didn't exactly have planes and internet. So, but she just kind of lived on her own. She's a medicine woman, and the people from the town would come, and she would do, it was kind of like their doctor sort of thing. And one day she was just ghosting her former self, and she knew everything this woman said and was doing. Like, she was like, it was me, but I was also witnessing her, and she was aware of me sometimes. And one night it was like a full moon, and there was some plant or herb or medicine that would only like come out on a full moon. Speaking of a full moon, cool little tie-in. And she's like, and so all of a sudden it jumped to the scene where I'm following her in the woods, and I'm thinking, there's something's going to happen. And it's like, she's in the woods late at night alone. Nothing happened. She found this whatever plant she is in. The time I was shown what it is, I now learned about it. I know about it through this experience. Well, the next day she's at the watering hole. She's getting water. Townspeople come running up. There's been 2 boys who were attacked by a bear, and they're like critical. We need you. And she made that split decision that the herb or whatever she had gotten the night before was what she needed for wounds. Whoa. It was the perfect thing. But she was far away from her home, and she's like, like halfway between. Ooh. And she decided, instead of going back to get the herbs, to just go to help the boys, right? Because time, right? Yeah. And she got there and they died. And then I guess the townspeople supposedly turned on her and like blamed her. And then she was just so devastated by it, like withdrew, and like they stopped coming to see her. And she just kind of like, over the next year or so, like, her health declined. She kind of started to fade away. And then on her deathbed, where this all led to, is my ex, Anna, was there witnessing the death. But this time, in the past, I guess she said she had died and went on, and it was like, sort of like she died in a bad way. This time she was there for herself to help her cross and to give her perspective on what had happened in a way that sort of freed her from the pain of it all. And then she said she just saw her like merge with the forest that she had lived in. And
Whoa.
So it's like a changing of outcomes based off of some other version of yourself helping yourself, right?
Wow,
it's like,
I love that.
Isn't that
like
wild?
we can call on that person.
It's right.
Well, that's why gratitude is so powerful too, right? We're like calling in that timeline. If we're thinking of the future, we can already be grateful for what we are going to have.
Yeah, and to think of your future self that's even sending love and energy to you now, in this moment. And that's been through much more and a certain, expanded version of you in a way.
Higher version.
Yeah.
I love
Which
that.
this, I love stories like this, as you guys out there listening know. And so maybe it'd be a good time for you to jump into story time.
So I had gone to Guatemala to help the indigenous peoples, the women and the children. And when I got there, they closed everything down. They're like, you can't even breathe next to an indigenous person. Like, you need to go quarantine. Like, they didn't want, us there. And it was just really bad timing, or was it? We got stuck in a house. I got stuck in a house with 5 other people. No, I made the 5th person. I'm sorry. And we had all had a past life experience. And we kind of had like flashbacks.
Yeah, how did it come to the surface for you guys?
I had already known 2 of the people that were in that house, and the other people in the house I didn't know, right? The other 2. So I had already known that I had past life experience with them. She was my sister in another life, my friend, Izetta, and this was during, ancient Egypt times, and her partner at this present time, he was a lover before, and he had been disloyal and was not good to her. And so in this lifetime, I still felt that from our past lifetime, and I felt...
Okay, hold on real quick. I just want to make sure I'm not losing it.
Yeah.
And so he's with her in this life.
Yes.
But they'd also been together in a past life.
Yes.
And he was not
good to her back then.
Good to her back then, and you felt and were aware of that.
Oh yeah, and so we would kind of clash sometimes, and there was always this like, why do we just irritate each other, right? And we're not even together a lot, but like it's almost a little brother sisterly, but also a little bit deeper and more. And so she, my friend, is a seer and had seen that, and I had known that. So I'm more of like intuitive and feeling and knowing rather than I can see it.
Clear,
and she
cognizant.
Exactly. So she can visualize that and see it. And so she had seen it all. So then we come to this place where we're in a home together and recognizing that the other 2 were there as well. And not just there as just anybody, but the man that was there was my lover in the past life. And the woman that was there, she would be in the temples with us, and she had helped us in some significant way. And so it was really like beautiful to come back together, but also really intense. And actually we had all kind of really all realized that so strongly and like knew it on my birthday when I turned 33 years old. So which was a really, really profound day. And I remember
remember my partner, we all hung out last night, just to let you guys know. Karen, who you guys have heard one time before on the show, and your partner Mike. And remember Karen last night talking about, she's had like a ton of 33 stuff.
Yes,
so, yeah. She's like, in the last few days, it's been like an insane amount of 33.
Yeah, it's a powerful year. And so for me, I remember on my birthday that morning, earlier that day, when I was with my friend, and he had said, the past lover friend, he had said that when we were walking up, I was obviously sweating because we had worked out, and we're walking up the stairs, and he's like, whoa, I just like went somewhere. And he's more visual too, and he's here, and was like, we just went somewhere. I like remember seeing you in this temple, and that was really intense. And he was like winded, and I was like, whoa, okay, that's intense.
It's right when you met him?
No, it wasn't right when we met him. It was on my birthday.
Oh, gotcha.
Earlier that day.
Got it.
Yeah. So then we go into basically like a jacuzzi bath thing that's quite big. But we went in there on my birthday later that day, like after the workout, and we're sitting in there, and it was like we were going back into the past, and I could just like feel it. And again, not like visualizing it so much, it's just like feeling it and being like, this is so intense, but also feeling into so many other things and other past lives that he and I had been in. It was so intense that I had to leave. I'm like, this is too much. I got to get out of this.
Wow.
It was a little overwhelming, the sensations and feelings, and being like, whoa.
Wow.
Powerful. Really fun and powerful, but intense. And all of the things, like full spectrum, being in that house and stuck there for a month and going through all of those things. Yeah.
Right. Wow. Yeah, that's obvious to me as something that's like a sort of a prearranged soul contract sort of thing. Like, okay, I'll see you down in Guatemala at this time, and the world will all of a sudden go into like full lockdown a moment later. So we'll be forced to all cohabitate and, work through whatever wants to happen and come up. Yeah,
and like learn from each other, and that's exactly what we got to do. And it's been a life-changing experience.
Yeah. Wow. What a trip. Well, wow, this has been so cool.
So
As we
fun.
kind of wind down, I mean, is there anything that, what is most alive for you right now? What, if you could share anything that you think would be, beneficial in where you're currently at, what comes up when I ask you that?
Right now, for me, I'm just in full excitement and like tapped into the inner child and wonder for so many things to come. And the Mateosh Method is getting really busy and beautiful, and it's such a fun way to connect with people and to remember like what we're supposed to be doing. So I do have a gathering coming up mid-December that's exciting to bring up.
In LA.
In LA,
Los Angeles,
Topanga, close to all the places. LA's everything's like 30 minutes away, right?
Yeah,
right. So in Topanga, and then the course is live, and so if you're interested in diving deeper with the Cacao Spirit and with me and learning more about ceremony and the history and the health benefits and traditions and all the things, you can join that course.
Cool, and that's on your website.
All on my website. I am ChristineOlivia.com.
Yes, you are.
And I'm on Instagram, just ChristineOlivia _. Yay.
Excellent. Oh, this has been so good. Thank you for coming over, and it's always such a pleasure to be able to sit with the person, and then when it's someone that it's already in my life, and that I'm close to already, it's like just double.
So fun.
Yeah, it's so fun.
Thank you so much.
So thank you for doing this. And
Mateosh.
Mateosh.
Yeah.
Look, I said it.
You said it so
I
good.
said it right. First I was like, Mateosh. No. Let's talk about the Mateosh Method.
Mateosh.
Mateosh.
Thank you.
Well, one last question.
Okay.
60 seconds or less.
Oh, shoot.
What is the meaning of life, according to Christine Olivia?
The meaning of life is to remember, to come back into our true essence and to connect with our inner child so that we can have fun and pleasure and not take it so seriously. It's like, I feel like it's about just coming back to our old ways, and I feel like that's what we're doing. Like if you think about the Mayans and their medicine and how they've used it for thousands of years, and now cacao ceremonies are really prevalent and coming back, and it's like we're just doing a 360, coming back to what we already knew.
Yeah.
So
I think that's the journey of the spirit in general. I think we start where we started and departed from source. It's a full journey back to, and I'm back to where I started. All right, do it again. Yeah. I think it makes me think of my son when he's really little, swinging him around or something, and you put him down and be like,
let's do
it again.
Yeah.
Do it again.
Don't we do that again with all the things, right? Like all the lessons and all the ways.
But, it really, and it brings, it brings a certain comfort to know that, like, there's really nowhere to go from one perspective. Like you can't get this wrong. You're going to end up where you started from. You can take as many detours as you want. You can't out detour eternity. Yeah. Right?
Yeah.
So,
just keep doing your best. Just keep trying to do your best. That's all you can do.
That's right. Yeah. And lighten up.
Lighten up, yeah.
All right, everyone. Thank you for sharing in this experience. I love you so much. Until next time, journey well. Also, before we sign off, I wanted to remind you about the game with the universe on our website. You can choose the first number that comes to your mind, and it'll pull up that episode number of the podcast. I've been saying this is a great way to co-create synchronicity and magic with your higher self for quite some time. And if you go to positivehead.com/universe, there is a super fun and simple interface to play this game with your higher self. I firmly believe just by setting the intention to play in this way, it opens up the door for magic, and it's a synchronistic way to hone in on nuggets of wisdom out of the huge catalog of episodes that are specifically appropriate for you at this time in your journey to becoming the next greatest and greatest version of yourself. And it also makes for a super fun way to spark the curiosity of friends and family by having them choose a number, so they'll hopefully go and check out their number as well, which I greatly appreciate because it helps us to spread the word about the podcast. Once again, the address is positivehead.com/universe. And as a quick reminder, if you're curious to learn more about Purium superfoods and why I take them almost every day, be sure to also check out positivehead.com/transformation. On this journey of becoming the next greatest and grandest version of ourselves that we have all embarked upon, I cannot stress the importance of managing your physical vibration enough. And quite honestly, Purium has put together the simplest plan I've found to do so. I have my favorite, the appleberry shake, at least 5 times a week. Once again, to learn more about the Purium transformation, go to positivehead.com/transformation. Or if you want to keep it simple and just try out my favorite, the appleberry shake, you can go straight over to ishoppurium.com and be sure to use code positivehead for 25% off. I'll spell that for you. It's ishoppurium.com. And be sure to use your Positive Head 25% coupon code.